Hey guys, it's Jess. Welcome to SheKnowsArsenal. You can follow me on Twitter at @it'sJessino. I think it would help if I wasn't on mute. So this is going to be the instant match reaction for Arsenal versus Brighton. We won the game 2-0. And depending on how you think about the game and how you thought about our season, you can say too little, too late. Just a couple minutes before the game ended, I think we thought that we were going to finish above Spurs. We ended up finishing below them, but avoiding the Europa Conference League, so there's that. And I think this game said a lot about who we are and who we could be. We are this team that has really good buildup. We can play well when we want to. We can get into challenges when we want to. We can attack quickly when we want to. But it also left us a little bit, I think, still wanting in the attacking third. I think we could have scored more goals in the first half. I really thought we should have put them away. So we're going to talk about all of that. We're going to talk about the fans and how that made a difference. Pepe, Odegaard, kind of rate his time at Arsenal, seeing as his loan is now over and Arsenal being outside of Europe. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up the lines for you guys. If you want to pop on and give your reaction to the game or your reaction to the season or whatever, ask a question. That's what we're going to be doing today. So in the chat box, let me know how you're feeling. Say hello, where you watching in from, all those good things. And make sure you like the video. Our goal for this stream is going to be, let's say, 50 likes by the end of the stream. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and bring Souls in and get his reaction to the game. Hey, Souls, how are you?
I'm very well. How you doing?
Good. I haven't seen you in a minute.
Yeah, it's been a while. Now I'm back, obviously, now. Looks like Arsenal. Yeah, it's just typical Arsenal, isn't it? Just right at the end of the season when it doesn't really matter what there's not much to play for, they turn up. But I'm glad we're not in Europe, I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm. Well, so for you, what did you see? Like, did you see a difference in the performance in terms of like urgency and quickness of play because of the fans? Because I kind of saw a little bit of more energy that I feel like I've been looking for the entire season.
Now, what I've seen today is what I've been seeing all season, but the God's honest truth is we're just not consistent with it. We'll see it in very small phases of the game. So it might be a minute here and there where we see this sort of quick passes and we can start to see actually what Arteta is trying to implement in this team. And I've said this before, what he's trying to do is exactly what we've seen today in terms of how Pepe's goals came about. It's quick football, but then like, for example, with the first goal where Chambers assisted it, that's where he wants you to be a little bit more slower and methodical. And this is where the sideways passing actually works. And that's what he's trying to get these players to do. He's trying to make them not overcomplicate the football and saying to them, look, sometimes it's good, like said Pepe's second goal, to just take your players on or try and take and think about what because that Pepe last season would have tried to take Dunk on rather than see, oh yeah, actually, let me just shoot it through his legs. And that's kind of what it's the little things, but that's what the elite managers do. It's not a raw player. It's those little things that start to improve the team. And today we're basically seeing an implementation of what he's trying to do. And I think that's where the club are trying to go, where we've got a solid defense. Because today I actually wasn't even scared defensively. I mean, when you see Holding and Gabriel, you are a little bit more reserved in terms of you don't know who's going to mess it up today. But overall in the game, I was quite confident. They were blocking everything. Partey, man, he could have scored 2 today, not even just a 1. I mean,
the way I screamed when it hit the bar, I was like, no! It's the exact reason why I don't want to do watch-alongs. I will start doing them. But you guys, the way I screamed when he hit them, I was like, no! So good.
Yeah, I was in the middle of a voice note to Albert as well. And literally just started screaming. And he was like, what the hell is going on here? But yeah, it's just I mean, he had I thought genuinely he's getting his goal today because I've seen 2 shots that were literally whiskers away from going in, and then he hits the bar, and I'm like, oh my God, he could have done it.
I know, I feel you. And I thought before the game, I was like, as much as I want Bissouma to come to Arsenal, Partey better win this midfield battle. He better show him who's boss. Don't go in there and let Bissouma. Bissouma had a really good game as well. Like, if you wanted to know why people want Bissouma, it's for what he did today. He stopped so many of our attacks single-handedly. by just being able to recover. And he's so smart with his tackling. But I think Thomas actually won that battle. And I was like really excited about just kind of like the way that they were in the battle together, because it felt like throughout the season, we weren't in it, if that made sense. Like we would just kind of like flop or just, give the ball away or whatever. And seeing Granit Xhaka, Thomas Partey, even Odegaard in the beginning, going into tackles with the Brighton players was awesome to me. I think that had something to do with maybe the fans being there, last game of the season type of like, who cares? Let's just go after it. But let's talk a little bit about Pepe. We were kind of talking about that on Twitter, the central conversation about Pepe, where he should play. Sometimes I think people get confused when you say he should play centrally, you're saying that he should play number 9. That's not necessarily true. There's other ways to get him central in this side besides just putting him up top. For you, how would you like to see Pepe used next season so that we can get the most out of him?
I think even at Lille, he played as a striker, as a sole striker as well, and he actually did really well. That's where a lot of his goals came from. And the good thing about today was we've seen goals with both feet, and very well taken goals as well. So he has got the ability to kind of be that striker or that finisher. I don't actually mind him on the wings either, and I think that's what he's going to become. He's going to become that utility man on the front three. So you can put him on the right if you need to, onto the left, and then obviously down the middle. So I feel like it is a bit of a weird one because I've not seen enough even today, even though Aubameyang got very involved in the game, or tried to anyway. I'm not seeing enough to say that I'm confident with him being our striker next season. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't mind giving Pepe an opportunity, especially with Martinelli coming in, Saka. Then you've got Emil Smith-Rowe who can play there, and then obviously whichever number 10 we end up signing, whether it's Buendia, Aouar, Odegaard, or whoever else there is named, that they're obviously going to be a winger cover as well. Then obviously we've got people coming through the academy as well. So we don't know what's happening with Nelson, whether he's going, because he's the one that I've not heard whether he's being sold or kept. There's absolutely nothing going on with him. So we're going to have enough on that wing, but we don't have enough strikers because Lacazette's bound to leave. He's a 50-50 whether he's going. So maybe keeping Pepe as a striker might not be the worst thing because he has got the height. He's definitely got the skill. And I feel like bringing Saka and Martinelli just to be able to press forward, and then having someone like Pepe just stay, because he doesn't want to do the defensive work if he doesn't have to. So maybe alleviate that from him and just give him that striker role, just say, go score goals. And I think that's what he loves doing.
I think I agree. Like, it's just, I know some people are like, he's not a striker. And I'm like, you don't have to be a striker to be dangerous centrally. You just have to want to score goals. And sometimes I just think when we get into the final third, our instinct to score goals kind of dissipates and we start to almost look like we're malfunctioning. Like, what am I supposed to do now? Pepe has a natural instinct to want to shoot, and so does Martinelli. So we need to get those people on the field as much as possible, even if it's not in positions that they play all the time. If we end up not signing a striker, which it looks like, it doesn't seem like we're linked with a lot of strikers. So if we don't, would it hurt us to play? I mean, Pepe, false 9, every once in a while, try him more centrally, play him behind the striker. We could do that as well. Not necessarily like as a 9, but like in right behind. So I would like to see him more central. But I saw a lot of people kind of like on Twitter, again, using that as a stick to beat Arteta with. Look at what Pepe's doing. He just, what if Arteta had just played him a lot more? But I want to ask you, like, since I think we're both kind of like Arteta-inish, we know he makes mistakes, but we're obviously think he's doing a decent job. Do you think that there was something that Pepe needed to add to his game? Is it just Arteta? Because it's not, we can't act like he was this guy a couple of months ago and Arteta wasn't playing him. He wasn't this player. He would kind of walk around. He wasn't pressing. He wasn't doing this defensive work. So for you, do you think it's not just Arteta, right? It's Pepe has made changes to his game to get more opportunities too.
I feel like I think the players sum it up perfectly, especially when Kieran Tierney came out and did this sort of massive interview where he called him a genius. And I'm not saying that Arteta is a genius, but this is the thing that we don't understand about football. Man management is a very key thing. And just because he isn't playing the players we like, there's got to be a reason behind it. And I do think a lot of these players, when they do return, like, for example, when Pepe got benched, the very next game he comes back and scores, it's because he he's given them, even though we're so thin in depth that, when, say, for example, we take a Pepe out of that team, the likelihood it is Willian's going to play. Obviously, now it could be Martinelli with him becoming fit. But with Pepe, he had to do that because Pepe is one of those players, when he gets too comfortable, that's what we start seeing sloppy things happening, and he starts to not want to work hard. And that's a problem within this club and culture for about 15 years. We've had it too comfortable where the starting 11 made itself, and Arteta's kind of come in and said, nah, that's not how it's going to work. And that's the problem. I think the fans have had a culture shock as well as the players, and that's really helped the likes of Pepe, the likes of, even Willian, because even when Willian got dropped after that sort of 17 games that he played at the start of the season, and then Willian started coming out of the team and then we put him back in, we were like, actually, he ain't playing too badly now. So I do think there's an element where Arteta's dropped him and Pepe's like, oh shit, I either have to now fix up my act. And that is obviously the player has to do that. A manager can keep sitting there and telling him, look, you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to work hard. But it's like the Ozil situation. Like, Wenger used to tell him, Emery came in and told him, then Arteta came in and told. But if Ozil didn't want to work hard, hence why his exile of the club as well. If Pepe turned around and just started saying, no, I don't want to work hard, I don't want to be doing this, then you'd see a similar situation where he'd be sold. So it's a combination. You have to have respect for the manager and what he's telling you, but then you also have to sit there and go, do you know what? Actually, he's not wrong, and you have to know when you're right and when you're wrong. And it's like with Aubameyang today as well. He worked a lot harder today, and that's all I've asked. He didn't get a goal, but I can't complain about him because he actually worked hard, and that's all you can ask for. The goals will come, when they come. Like, look at Pepe as a prime example. He's been working hard, and the goals have come. What is it? He scored 4 in the last 2, and I think it's 5 in the last 3. So all he's done is started working more, and that's literally converted his ability to now output. So it is, you have to give credit to Arteta for being able to drop him and going against every single fan's opinion, and you have to give credit to Pepe because the player has to want to do it.
100%. You guys, there's about 36 of you guys watching. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're going to open up the lines in just a couple of minutes, but I just want to get Sol's, I want to get your ideas on Odegaard right now. Did you think he played well today? What did you think about his performance?
He's a weird one, isn't he? Like, I like what he can offer. That's the problem. Like, I know what he can offer. The problem is because we're such a strange setup in a sense of we've got a bit of experience, but a lot of our team is young. Like, when you look at Saka, obviously, then we've got Martinelli. Pepe is like in and out of form, and then obviously Aubameyang's completely out of form. Like, whether you want to say his form or whether he's just declined in his ability. And then obviously behind him, he's had El Neni, Xhaka, Ceballos, Partey. Like, he's had too many changes around him. And number 10s tend to want to play with similar systems and similar players just so they can get used to the runs of those players. Like, if he constantly plays with a Martinelli, you'll see he'll pick him out better. And I don't know if he's done enough for me to justify paying 45 million or 50 million pounds or what the evaluation that Real Madrid have put on him. I think the only thing that I'd accept right now is an extension on his loan. If anything, like if that's the player we want to keep, we have to just do it on a loan basis, because as much as he has shown me parts of his game where he's been good enough, there's been also a period where we're like, okay, now we're starting to see, okay, you've had a bit of bad form or you've not played as well. Can you bounce back? And he hasn't done that to the levels that we think he can. So I don't know. I'm still, the verdict for him is still out, but he is a very young player and he's very exciting. So I think a loan makes the most sense. I just wouldn't splash the cash on him.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat where I'm like, 50 million or whatever they're going to want for him. What could we get for that? With a player that maybe fits a little bit more. I think my biggest issue with him is the same issue that I had with Ozil when Ozil was playing with Pepe, that they crash into the same area. And when you have two players that are high touch players on the right side of the pitch and they're playing with each other, they're both trying to get onto their left foot. So when you could easily just cross it back for a cutback There was plenty of times where they got into space on that side, they got each other free, and then they passed it to each other, and each of them kept trying to get to their left foot. And in that time, all the runs that were being made into the box had stagnated.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm wondering if we would do better with somebody that could be a little bit more central, that's not so left foot dominant, because when you have that, we have too many left footers. We have so much left side bias. And with Pepe, he kind of needs to have that space right there, that half space. And Odegaard wants to operate there too. What happens to the right back then? So maybe it would be easier if we just allowed our right back to overlap, allowed Pepe to be in that half space, and have a 10 that actually likes to operate centrally. Because for me, Odegaard doesn't operate centrally. He likes to go off into the right. And if we had a different type of winger, maybe that would make sense. But because it's Pepe, we spent the money on Pepe already, so we need to make him work versus like putting Odegaard in there. So for me, if I had to rate his loan on a scale of 1 to 5, I think I'd give it a 3. What would you give it?
No, I'd have to agree, because the other thing that popped up into my head was that Martinelli assist against Crystal Palace. That was a beautiful ball, like very well played. It was inches perfect, and that's what he can do. But yeah, you're right. He is very left foot biased. Obviously, when we see Smith Rowe, we start to see a lot more balance in the team. Hence why a lot of more people have been, and rightfully so. Like, the Smith Rowe praises have been sung because he's brilliant. Like, and it's that thing of where we've got Saka, who's left-footed, Pepe, who's left-footed. Then obviously when you add Odegaard into there, he's left-footed. Xhaka's left-footed.
Saka's left-footed. Tierney's left-footed. Gabriel's left-footed. Like, our whole team is left-footed.
It's pretty much, and that's the problem. It's easier to read, like, because all you got to then, because with every player, your mindset's the same. All right, their dominant foot is, and the problem is, other than maybe Pepe at a degree, their weaker foot is a non-existent. Like, even with Saka, I'm not trusting him with his right foot. Like, I just about trust him to shoot with his left, but I'm not trusting him to shoot with his right. His crossings, I don't mind, but it's one of those where, the balance needs to come in. I'm liking the likes of Buendia. I like that link. And then obviously if Max Aarons comes in, that would be a really good link as well. Maybe that's what Odegaard needs. Maybe he needs someone like a Max Aarons to help him out a little bit. But the problem is, Pepe, this is the problem we had with Bellerin. Bellerin used to love occupying the same sort of positions we wanted our wingers in. Hence why he never got to play as much as probably he would have liked to, because he always cuts in, and Pepe needs to cut in. That's the player that needs to be cutting in. That's why when you see Chambers, he's always hugging the byline, helping Pepe create that space. So that's the problem, like, with having too many players who favour a side. That number 10 needs to be comfortable on both, like, middle parts of the pitch. And that's why Smith Rowe looks so much better. It's not because he is better, it's just because of how he positions himself. And that's what I keep saying to people. That's the fine margins when you're trying to compete for a top 4 place or even for the Premier League. Because when you look at the likes of, City, for example, KDB, he doesn't have a favoured side. And that's why they're so good, because you can put Mahrez on any wing. You can start putting Sterling on the top 3, and they're so versatile. And that's what we lack, because we're very focused on, we need that position, who's the specialist in that position, rather than who's actually going to come and fit this sort of versatile system. And that's the problem.
I love it. Starboy has a question. I'll let you go out on this one. Think we need a 10 that is going to offer goals from that position. Is that something that you feel like needs to be addressed as well? When I do the math, even if Aubameyang was to get you 25 goals a season, those front 3, those 3 right behind him have to get like 10 goals each to make it work. If we're going to play with a double pivot that doesn't score goals, we need more goals. Yeah. Where's it going to come from? Odegaard doesn't necessarily score a lot of goals. He's not that type of player. Buendia is, though. Is that something that we need to consider?
100%. I think if you look at, let's look at the top 4, for example. Let's look at City. Do their midfield. Gundogan scores, Foden scores, De Bruyne scores, Fernandinho pops up with a goal or 2. There you go, their midfield scores. If you then look at United, does their midfield score? Pogba scores goals, Bruno scores goals. The only person who doesn't is whoever's playing in that sort of, like, even Fred pops up with goals, actually. Like, even one of their pivots does as well. Then when you look at, well, it's Liverpool now, their midfield isn't probably as goal dominated, but their wingers, both their wingers are getting at least 20 goals a season, which
Exactly.
is more than enough, like, to compete. And if the others pop up with a goal or two, that's what you need. And then when you look at, well, Chelsea, for example, Jorginho's their top goal scorer. Then you've got Mount behind him. So a lot of this sort of top four, you can start to see a pattern. You've got goal scoring midfielders. And if you're not going to have, because your strikers, as much as you want to rely on them, you can't. And you need someone else to come in with a goal or two. And that's been pretty much what we've been lacking since for a very long time.
Ever.
Like the Nas when Nasri left, the Van Persie era, like that's when we started to lose that goals in midfield. Even to be fair, Ramsey offered a lot, but when we started to lose those players, that's when we started to see, we're dropping down. That's the first, when Ramsey went, it's the first time we finished out of the top four because we stopped scoring goals from midfield, and we were that goal scorer, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Martin, whoever it may be, is all we've got.
Yeah. 100%. We definitely need to figure out where the goals are going to come from. And right now, even if we use the way that we use our striker, we can't that striker is not going to score 25 goals a season, because the way we use the striker now, the way that they're coming into midfield, we can maybe 15 if they continue to be this kind of build up striker. But if not, you have like Saka, and Smith Rowe, they're not going to score like 10, 15 goals next season. I don't think they're too young and too raw, so we definitely need to bring those profiles in. But I'm going to go ahead and let you go on that one. I'm sure I will see you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. And really quick, just tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, literally, Gouda Souls or at Leicester Bay Footy. And then obviously, I'll be back on here very soon.
Of course. All right, you guys. Say bye to Souls, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
All right, guys. Here's a super chat here. Let me go ahead and put this up. Thank you so much, Cruz, for your super chat. We need a proper number 9 who can drop deep and has the pace to run behind the defenders. Haaland types that complements Martin Odegaard, ESR, and Pepe. Now, Cruz, here's the counter to that. I think we all know that that's the type of number 9 that we need. Can we afford that person now? Who is that person? Can we afford them? And would you rather get that person in and maybe sacrifice your right back, sacrifice getting a central midfielder, sacrifice getting this? Because for me, looking at the striker situation is one that we need to address. But similarly to the goalkeeper, it's probably not the first on my list in that respect. We still have Aubameyang there on really high wages. We have Martinelli, we have Balogun, Lacazette, who's yet to leave. So for me, I think we need that person, but we might end up having to get that striker, like not this summer, but the summer after. But I do agree. But who is that guy? Like, could we actually get somebody like Haaland? There's very few strikers that can drop deep and also be very visible and present in the box and score like 20, 30 goals. Like, we're talking elite goal scorers. You see, as soon as we started asking Aubameyang to do other things other than score goals, what did he do? He stopped scoring goals, so it's going to be difficult. But I do agree with the profile, but that type of striker costs lots and lots of money. So I'm wondering if you have some other names that maybe are a little bit more under the radar that we could attract that would give us that type of impact. Starboy says, this is why we struggled a lot this season. Lack of goals across the team defensively. We haven't been bad. Exactly. We're scoring enough goals and creating enough chances. Like, just the way that the game went today, we were so blunt in the first half. Like, we were pretty much blunt the entire game. Our buildup doesn't really always end in high quality chances, and that's an issue. And then when we get them, we don't put them away always. It's taken individual brilliance from Pepe to score the last couple of goals that we've had besides Martinelli's. So I think that speaks volumes to the players that are getting the balls, like Saka, ESR, Odegaard, Aubameyang to a certain extent. They're not shooting. And when they shoot, they're not good shots. I think what I saw kind of today was a hesitance from some people in the team to just shoot, hesitance to cross, hesitant to just go ahead and make something happen. Whereas Pepe, it was instinctive. So I think we just need to be quicker, act quicker, shoot quicker, cross quicker, do everything faster. And that will definitely help. But we have another caller in. It's Harry. Hey, Harry, how are you?
Good. How are you doing? Sorry, I was just
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Just got back from the game, which was good. Nice to be back at home.
Amazing. Tell me how the atmosphere was.
Yeah, it was all right. I had to work this afternoon, so I literally got there just for kickoff. So I wasn't there for any of the protests. The atmosphere was okay. It seemed pretty subdued, but the fans were in good spirits. There wasn't any negativity towards the players or the manager. I think obviously because the first half was a little bit lackluster, fans were getting a little bit frustrated with the performance. But once Pepe scored that first goal, everyone seemed in good spirits. The scores were going around of the Leicester score, the Chelsea score. So there was lots of emotions going up and down as you try to see who you're going to finish ahead of. But I think there was a kind of general happiness in terms of we did what we had to do in terms of winning at home. But Spurs won, so we don't finish above them. But there's also the icing on a cake or a weird cake of not making any European football next season, which I think is quite a good thing in a way.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot of Arsenal fans that are kind of in that camp of we dodged a bullet here, and it's yet to be seen if this is actually a good thing, because if we're outside of Europe and then we don't perform well in the league, then that will compile some issues. But I think the thought process is that if we don't have distractions or we don't have any excuses either, we'll just go ahead and perform in the league. 5 wins in a row for Arsenal. Where was this Arsenal a couple of months ago? Just looking at those, kind of how we capitulated between November and December. Do you look at the way we finished the season as kind of like a disappointment, or like, okay, we're going in the right direction, or a little bit of both?
I mean, I just find it confusing, and it's so confusing that it's really hard to come up with some sort of answer or like a well-rounded opinion. Even when we were losing, I always try to think positively, and I always thought that Arteta could be the right man. So I feel like now we've seen that when the pressure's off, we can do it, which is a little bit worrying, to be honest, because Pepe's on fire at the moment, but when the pressure was really, really on and we needed all of these players to deliver, they weren't. So I just think now we can go into next season solely focused on the Premier League, which is something we haven't done for 17, 18 years. And during this time of a rebuild, I think that's come perfectly. And just to focus on the training ground for 5-6 days on that next fixture should put us in a really good place. I hope it doesn't work against us in the terms of Arteta is robotically playing in every minute of every game and the players are literally like robots out there. But I mean, we've got to try to be positive because that's all we can be as fans. But I'm hopeful that next season we can push and challenge for the top 4.
We have to, we literally have to, or else we're going to be in this weird situation, where it's going to just be really, really stressful. But Alfred wants us to kind of talk about the overall sentiment towards the final league position and just kind of chat about it. And I also kind of want to talk about player of the season if we can in a couple of minutes. But I want to bring Albert on too. Hey, Albert, how are you?
What's happening? Good to see Harry, mate, as well.
Hello, bro. How you doing?
You guys, Albert didn't see the game, so we're not going to talk about the game with Albert because he didn't see it. But we can talk about this question. I think this would be kind of interesting. Is he said Alfred asked the overall sentiment towards the league position. I mean, we finished in the same place that we did last season, didn't we? So I'll let you go first, Albert. What is your overall sentiment about the final league position? The same position as last season.
You really want me to go first, yeah?
6 points off of the Champions League. I think we're 8 points away from the league leaders or some craziness like that. It's something like that. We're not far away. Weird season, but yeah, go ahead. Knock it out of the park, Albert. You got it.
Well, yeah, just firstly, apologies for not missing your stream earlier. The protest, man. So yeah, in answer to the question that was put, I mean, the only positive is, and it's a very small positive, it's not our worst Premier League finish ever. I'm old enough to remember the last one. That was 12th. So I know how bad it's been. So Listen, this. I said for the last few months, right? I'm tired of this team, man. I'm tired of the manager's press conferences. I'm tired of hearing Josh Kroenke's name. I'm tired of the team. I don't like this club anymore. I don't like the team. I wanted the season to be over 3 months ago. I'm being serious, man. Like, and I think today, people have different ways of how they run. I think probably some people might have seen my way today when I sort of did a live stream from the protest. Because, listen, you know what it was? People saw the weather and they said, "I'm not coming out of the house today." That's what they said. They were chilling in the pubs. They're probably still in the pub, to be honest with you. And they weren't coming to the protest. I see probably more energy, right, for people to go into the armory to go and buy the kit than to go and get their voices heard. And I think that sums it up.
Yeah, I feel you. I was kind of talking about it earlier that I think once it became a little bit, first of all, the shine kind of wore off, like, you know, the energy kind of wore off once the ESL kind of crumbled. And then once they kept saying, we're going to keep the club, like, we're not going to sell it. And then people just kind of said, well, why? And my answer to why is because we have to keep pressure on their neck. The reason why they felt like they could just gallivant into a separate league and take us away from the Premier League and go into this European Super League is because they didn't think that we gave a crap. The fact that we continuously buy everything, we show up to everything, and the level of apathy from the fans, I think, gave them kind of like a free pass. Now, that's not to say that they won't try it again, but they know that we're going to kick up a fuss. And looking at the way that Manchester United hurt the brand for Manchester United and was able to kill some of their sponsorship deals shows you what level of control the fans can have if they band together. So that's why. That's the why. That's a simple why, you know, and it's a powerful why. Wouldn't you want to hurt them a little bit? I mean, if you do that, then they have to sit up straight and make some good decisions. So just because they won't sell the club doesn't necessarily mean that you don't go out and still protest and make your voices heard. You know, am I crazy to think that? You know, like, I think
just, you know what? Let me add a bit more to that. Mm-hmm. The thing is, right, I don't expect any football fan base, right, Newcastle fan, to tell you, trust me, to ever to there to be some total unity. But I'm sorry for what we've been served up as fans. It's diabolical, and the fan base should be more unified than it is. Not just for a one-off game against Everton in the Premier League, just because of the European Super League and being angry at the Kroenkes. This fan base will never. It's so fractious. It's laughable. There's people that will argue with us on the panel more about, oh, you know what? I'm gonna, for example, listen. If you want to go and buy the kit, the 25,000 training kits, good luck to you. You understand? That is fine, not a problem. But don't be sitting there telling people who went to the protest, like myself and others who went to the Everton one or whatever, oh, it's pointless going, not going to sell, and then praise us for going to the protest. That makes no sense to me. Because the thing is, what did people think was going to happen? Daniel X shows the interest, gets the Arsenal legends on board. They make a bid. The Kroenkes go, oh yeah, okay, yeah, oh, you know what? That's good. We'll set up, no problem. It's just going to go like that. Arsenal fans might not want to hear it, right? But if you're ever going to have to be patient in your lifetime as an Arsenal fan, in regards to the takeover, you're going to have to be patient. It's going to take time. Stop chucking out tweets and nonsensical Instagram stories, getting upset because the Kroenkes haven't sold ASAP. It doesn't work like that. But you have to do your bit as a fan. For example, like for the guys that went to watch the game today, listen, I said it earlier in my stream, like, people ain't been starved of football going to watch games, innit? I know people that have got long-term partners. They'd rather choose Arsenal over their long-term partners. I'm being serious. But for the ones that went into the stadium, I mean, I don't know whether they were screaming Kroenke out or they had the banners or whatever they was doing in there, or stand up and, you know, walk out in the 70th minute, for example. Like, I heard, like, when I was in the stream that Josh was at the game, innit? Josh Kroenke. And I'm like, why? Why are you coming now? Does he think we're in the Europa League final next week? Like, I don't understand this family, man. And yeah, like, listen, man, like, It's a good thing I was never ever thinking about going to that game today. Even if someone gave me the ticket for free, I wouldn't have gone because I'm thinking, you know what? What joy have they given us this season? Let's be honest. What have they done for us to go and applaud them, like, you know, try and get behind the team? They haven't done anything. I feel sorry for the Arsenal fan that went to the Villarreal second leg tie, right? And was clapping the man and clapping the guys them into the stadium. They must have felt like mugs after the game. Like, I'm tired, man. Like, this team, Harry, take over, because I'm gonna start losing it in a minute. I'm tired, man. Like, I've just the family.
I think it's hard because I think the lack of numbers are for a number of reasons. I think one is hypocrisy. I don't think fans want to be hypocritical by coming up to protest, knowing they're going to want to buy the kit and consume all avenues of Arsenal after the protest. I also think, and this isn't meant to, you know, be an insult, I think some fans don't care, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think there's some older fans, maybe, you know, fans my dad's age who's 66 and whatnot, you know, he doesn't care. He just likes to go to Arsenal and support the club. And he's seen good times, he's seen bad times. And he maybe, you know, some fans don't let it, I'm not going to say let it dictate their life or their happiness, but some fans are maybe more able to say, cool, I go to Arsenal, and when I come home, you know, I've got other things going on. It doesn't consume, you know, all of their daily life. So I think there's a little bit of that as well. I think so much of our vocal fan base on social media, you know, of Kroenke out, a lot of them won't be London based. They won't be able to go to a protest. So they're almost, you know, you get this false sense of numbers. But as we saw with the first protest, there were huge numbers, which is great if that's what everyone wants to stand for. I think it's really, really hard for any Arsenal fans to be really, really, you know, infused with what's going on under Kroenke's. But I've said many a times, like, I'm under no illusions that we are a top level club. So my expectations, whilst I predict us every year to finish top four and to win the league and to win all the cups, because that's what I want, you know, when those things don't happen, maybe as I've got older, I've just learned to say, oh, well, fucking hell, we're shit, and it is what it is, and we move, you know, and that's it. But I get how, you know, fans can be really disheartened at the lack of numbers today and the lack of energy. But the vibe I got in the Emirates today, and those different clusters, was just a subdued, you know, fans just content. And if that's accepting mediocrity, if that's, you know, I don't know, accepting us, you know, as no longer as a big club, maybe it is. But I think there's probably a bit more of a realization from fans that this is where we are. And are the Kroenkes going to sell? Like, are they going to sell? Do they care enough to sell? I don't know. And if the fans aren't going to commit to, you know, going the whole hog of not buying merchandise and not buying programs and whatnot. I mean, the programs are free today, which I thought was quite ironic.
That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's probably a hidden charge in there somewhere. They'll add it onto the season ticket next year, and a lot of the vendors, or, you know, the food canteens weren't open as well. So I don't know what the answer is anymore. All I know is I'm really, really happy the season is over, because I saw Arsenal post the goal of, was it Lacazette scored against Brighton on their Twitter last season when he came off the bench, and I genuinely thought that was about 5 years ago. I feel like it's been the longest ever season of my life. So I don't know about you, but I'm glad to see the back of it.
It felt longer than the one that we stopped, the last one that stopped in the middle. Like, it's felt so long. And the funny thing is, like, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, that, like, it feels like, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but as good as we've done since Boxing Day, which the numbers say that we've been good since Boxing Day, it hasn't felt like it.
Yeah,
it feels
100%.
like we've been getting battered the whole time. It literally doesn't, like, it, when they said that, okay, we've been this good since Boxing Day, I'm like, what? Really? Well, it felt like we lost almost every single game. Like,
So quickly. So last season, played 38, won 14, drew 14, lost 10, 56 points, right? This season, played 38, won 18, drew 7, lost 13. So we finished with 5 more points, but we lost 3 more games. So obviously those defeats within this positive run has really hit us hard. So when we lost to, who did we lose to? Like, we lost to Everton at home. You know, that was a result which was really, really annoying. And the crazy thing is, if you pick up those points against Fulham and Everton at home, you're 1 point off Champions League football. I'm not trying to say this has been a good season, but I'm just trying to say perspective and how we look at things is crazy. You know, a lot of fans were calling for Carlo Ancelotti as the chosen one. Some Arsenal fans were referring to him as, as my manager. That's the man I want. And he hasn't helped Everton, at all. He's left them in a very similar place. Brendan Rodgers was, on the cusp of having an absolutely incredible season. And now, fine margins, he's done what Arteta done last year, which was major Europa League football and won an FA Cup. So it's really, really hard because we get caught into the emotion of it and all of the different agendas and narratives that we all try to push. And I know that myself as someone who loves Arteta and loves Granit Xhaka, who, by the way, Granit Xhaka today was absolutely amazing. He was incredible.
He was good today.
When he passes to Partey hit the bar, I was like, oh, so close. Oh, I was coming out my seat. I was like, the good times are back. But yeah, anyway, but like you say, it's a very strange season, and sometimes
kill it, Albert.
Sorry, Albert. Sorry, man. It was good.
But you know what? This season, man, like I think the only teams we've done a double over this season in the league, if I'm right, is Newcastle, West Brom, and today Brighton and Sheffield United.
Chelsea, did we do dub over Chelsea? Yeah, Chelsea we've done.
And Chelsea, that's not great though, bro. Like.
Oh no, it's terrible. It's terrible. I mean, but somehow we've got more points than last season, which I don't understand. Maybe they've added it up wrong. Maybe there's an error. It doesn't make sense.
I think the way the Premier League's been this season, I'm not excusing Arsenal. Trust me, I'm the last person that will. But it's not a record to write home about, man.
No, it's definitely not. And I think this comment is true of just kind of like all of us. I think we're exhausted. We're exhausted. We're fatigued from Arsenal, like literally so fatigued. And I am so happy to just get caught up in meaningless transfer rumors that aren't going to come to fruition and just talk about make-believe, the Euros, whatever, because day in and day out, like that whole week that we had like last week where we didn't play, that was one of like the best weeks because everybody else played and we didn't. And I didn't have to stress out and be stressed out the whole entire time because I was stressed out in the first half of this game and I couldn't figure out why. I was like, why are you stressed out? Why do you care? Yeah, this team is stressing me out. But before I let you guys go, I need to ask you guys a really important question. What do we do about Willock? What do we do about Willock? The kid is scoring all these goals. And now I'm like, I'm like, if we keep you though, are those goals going to go away? Because if you don't score them goals for us, then I want to sell you. So what do you guys think about Willock? What should we do with Willock?
Let Harry go first. Go on, Harry.
Okay, Harry, go first.
I mean, I changed my mind on Willock as he continues to score every game. I mean, I said last week, loan him out, maybe keep him. I mean, if you're going to score that many goals in the Premier League, it's great. We obviously have to acknowledge systems and different setups and be aware that if he's to play in our team, it's not going to be in a double pivot because he doesn't possess those attributes. So it's likely to be a number 10 or, like we mentioned on Monday, Aaron Ramsey role from the right. But then you've got Pepe, you've got Saka, you've got ESR, you've got Martinelli. So you try to find a way to squeeze him in. I haven't seen enough of him in the past couple of games, but I don't know. Is he a striker? Is he a midfielder or is he a striker? Maybe he's a striker.
He's a Mueller type of player, I'm telling you. But it's hard to fit those players in if the rest of your team is not bomb. Like, it's very difficult because you're taking away a really important creative position for somebody who's not creative at all. He just literally wants to get into the box and make late runs. And he's very, very good at it. But again, we talked about this on the squad building podcast. If Willock stopped scoring them goals, would you want him there? And I think, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I would want to use the 25 million that we're going to get for him to go get, like, that's halfway towards Buendia.
But it's got to be more than 25, right? It's got to be more than 25 now, surely. He's young.
What do you reckon, Harry? About 60, yeah?
I mean, you guys are out of control.
No, but listen, how much?
I would take 25. I would bite your hand off for 25. I would.
Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, I would say more around the 30, 35 mark. I think. Oh, is that too
35
much?
for Joe Willock? Okay.
Well, Oxlade-Chamberlain was 36 million, and he's just been on TikTok for the past 4 years. He's done nothing at Liverpool. So, I mean, I don't know. His stock's really high now, so I suppose Arteta faces this conundrum there. If he comes back to us and he doesn't do anything, it's like, and then his value goes down and down and down. But you never know. He might go on the plane for the Euros, and then next thing you know, he's scoring goals, in the Euros. So I don't know. It's really interesting. It's a good problem to have. And fair play to him and massive congratulations, because I certainly writ him off, and he's went to Newcastle and he's done himself super proud. And other players that we have at our club, Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah, for whatever reason, have decided against the loan move, and Joe Willock's went out there to prove himself, and he's done incredibly well. So he should be really proud of himself.
Yeah, for sure. I think the most we're gonna get for him is like 30 million. But again, I don't think his value is ever gonna be. I'll be very shocked if he continued this form like next season. And my biggest fear is you keep him, and then what? What do you do after that? But yeah, you guys, that's gonna be. Well, we're gonna add more people on, but I'll see you guys soon. I know, Harry, I'm gonna see you on Monday. You guys remember that on Monday, I have the time here. Monday at 8 p.m. UK time, we're going to be doing our squad building podcast with Harry, George, and Kelly. So make sure you guys are there for that. So you'll see Harry then. Albert, let everybody know where they can find you on the internet.
Big up, Jess. Thanks for having me on. Harry, good to see you, man. Joe, just before you kick me quickly about Willock, my views. It's going to be a surprise to you. If the offer is true about 25-30 million, I will drive him to Newcastle. You sell him when the value is at its highest. Big up to him for scoring 6 goals in a row, whether it was, youngest teenagers do that in the Premier League. But sell him. I'm not Sentiment FC. Sell him. Albert JTV. Yeah, 100%.
Make sure you guys follow Albert and subscribe to his channel. And I'll see you guys later. Okay. Bye.
Take care, guys.
Take care.
All right. I'm gonna add Aslan into the. Actually. Before we get to Aslan, I'm going to go to Abdallah. If you guys don't know, Abdallah is a Chelsea fan, and they squeaked into the Champions League by just the skin of their teeth. So yeah, you guys are definitely Gareth Bale FC. You guys are also Willock FC. He's done a lot of good for you guys this season as well. How are you feeling after that, making it to Champions League?
Well, I want to be honest. We were asked today, to be perfectly honest. We were absolute rubbish against Villa. Grealish had the time of his life. Mason Mount was, terrible. But ultimately, I can't really complain too much. We got into the top 4, which is ultimately what Tuchel was brought in to do when we sacked Frank Lampard. So I got to big him up for that. And yeah, I'm just very happy. But I'm still not happy because I want to win every game, and because the performance just showed if we don't sort ourselves out, and not to mention Mendy did get injured, which is a worry because we've still got the Champions League final against City. And if we play like that in that final, we are going to get cooked. Gordon Ramsay says we're just going to get cooked for fun.
Yeah, I mean, you guys played against Aston Villa, and Manchester City played against Everton, and they stomped Everton out. Yep. So both played mid-table teams, different results. Look, if you guys have made the top 4, which is what you guys did last season with Frank Lampard. I mean, if you guys don't win the Champions League, this can't be seen as any sort of. Do you still feel like you guys are going in the right direction? If you guys pretty much get the exact same results as you did last season?
Well, statistically, yeah, because we got a point more.
Point more. I like that.
No, but it's just been. To be fair, we were in a very bad place under Tuchel. We were 25 minutes away from Thursday night football again.
Oh man, yeah. You guys, yeah. After the summer that you guys had to make Champions League football at the very, very least. We can say that Lampard had you guys majorly underperforming, but your issue is still goal scoring, in my opinion. If you guys can bring in a striker or something next season, you might be okay. But yeah, you made it by the skin of your teeth. So good for you. And I can't say that I'm rooting for you guys to win the Champions League. I'm definitely not. But hey, I'm sure you guys will be absolutely unbearable if you guys win, won't you?
Don't worry. You know what? I've come on and said multiple times I'm the quiet guy. I was the one who didn't pipe up. All these Chelsea fans on Twitter, I'm not going to drop any names, who were talking worse about Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United. I said from the get-go, even when we beat Liverpool, I said there's 10 odd games left to go. Anything can happen, as we've seen. Aston Villa and Everton were competing for the league title at the start of the season. But no one listened. I hope and pray now that all the Chelsea fans have been humbled and do not, and I don't care if we go into the top 4. Don't you dare, any of you Chelsea fans, and you know exactly who you are. Don't you dare go on a Twitter raid. I don't care. Don't you dare. We do not deserve to, because from our perspective, we were terrible, and we should have finished in the top 3 because it is what it is. But I'm gonna strap my seatbelt because we're gonna get absolutely spanked across the floor by Man City next week.
Man, well, I'm hoping so, but thank you so much for coming on. You're an awesome mod. So I'm sure I'll see you in the comment section, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, for sure. I'll see you in a bit. Take care, Jess.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. Before I get Aslan on, you guys, I want to know, there's 40 of you guys in the watching right now, so I want to make sure that you guys are liking the video, so make sure you like the video before you do this. But player of the season, who is your Arsenal player of the season? I want to know in the chat box right now. Let me know who it is, and we'll keep this ball rolling about 15 more minutes. So Aslan, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Jess. How are you?
I'm good. The floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, on today's game, great result, 2-0. Pepito, man, that guy's got the sauce. He's got ice flowing in his veins. Like, this guy is just so cool, calm, collected on the ball, and it just goes to show that when he scores and he builds up confidence, this guy, he can turn up. I mean, I understand, it was the last game of the season, and some people have said after our exit from the Europa semi-finals that when the pressure's off, that's when some of these players turn up. They may have a point, but yeah, Pepe, great game with a brace, good 3 points. And I'm just happy that we didn't qualify into the Europa Conference League, to be honest. To have a full season out of Europe going into next season, just fully concentrate on the league, concentrate on our 2 domestic cups. Some people saying, but if we did get Europe, we could bet in the youngsters, maybe potentially more academy players, give them game time. But I just feel they can have opportunities in the domestic cups,
They can also go on loan, Aslan. I think there's a big shout to send some of them on a good loan and have an experience kind of like Willock has had.
Are you talking about the academy players who have kind of been in and around the first team in the last couple of years? Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, and again, it just depends on incomings, really, who we bring in. So, like, with links with like Buendia, if he comes in, with the likes of Willian, rumored to be leaving or to be sold. If we did bring in Buendia, for example, then I hear your case on loaning out Nelson. In terms of Joe Willock, wow, another goal for him today. Fair play to him.
What do you think about Joe Willock? Would you want to sell him or keep him? What are your thoughts on Willock in his Arsenal future?
I've always been a fan of Willock, and I know when he was with us at the time, when he was getting game time but very limited, he wasn't really pulling up trees or anything like that. But yeah, on his loan, I've been impressed. Because at the end of the day, like you just said, we have to send academy players out on loan for them to like grow, gain experience, and sharpen up their skill set. And he's produced that. The Newcastle fans have openly expressed how much they love him, and that must be an amazing feeling for a 2021-year-old to be loved by fans that you're on loan to a club that you're on loan to. What better feeling? But yeah, I would keep him. I won't entertain him being on the transfer list. I believe there's other players who should be on the top of that list. before we even consider to entertain any offers for Joel Willock.
Who are those players? Who are those players you're talking about?
Oh wow, it's a long list, Jess. But yeah, I mean, the main ones, and all these players that I feel they all have 1 or 2 years remaining. So whilst they're still at the club, whilst they have any type of value, and we all know as a fan base, we need the money, because to go into next season, the Cronkies or Stan or Josh, they're going to be providing us with limited funds. So Vinay, Edu and Arteta have got their work cut out, but obviously they're being paid to do a job. So
exactly.
I understand as a group of 3, they're inexperienced, but they're in that position. If they're unable to do so, and if they're not competent enough to do what's necessary, then they need to be replaced with experience. But players like as much as I love El Nene, I don't feel he has the quality. He needs to go. I'm not naming him first just because I feel he's the number 1 of the list. But players like Bellerin, Xhaka, Runnison. I watched your video the other day about your transfers. Like, he's just taking up valuable homegrown quota position. So him being involved in the squad doesn't make sense. Sign up Matt Ryan on a free and add Arthur Okonkwo to the squad, and you're bolstering up your home quota from there. Like on loan players, I would bring back Saliba, Mavropanos, Guendouzi and Willock. Get rid of Kolasinac. Get rid of.
So you're keeping mostly young players and moving on some of the more older players.
Yeah, the
most part.
Yeah, experience that, because I agree with you. Like you've openly expressed that we should be attracting players between the age range of what,
23 to 25.
Yeah, early to mid 20s. Like we don't need, like we're linked to like players like Camavinga, which I don't believe at all.
Me neither.
but like if you compare him to another French player like Samari, where Leicester are rumored to buying him, there's an age gap of what, a good 4 years. So he has more experience under his belt, and I don't know the result of the French league. Has Lille played, or has that been confirmed?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
But yeah, like with Samari, like he's a cheaper option because he's only got 1 year left with Lille.
Right.
So Leicester are definitely getting a bargain. So like when it comes to being rumored to players or what players fans favor, I feel we have plenty of teenagers who are currently involved in and around the men's squad and the first team. And if we are gonna add more teenagers, we can look more closer to home. The Hale End are producing a lot of talent. So maybe this season, like going into pre-season, we can see a few more of these players. We don't need to go out into Europe and bring in teenagers, in my opinion. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and giving me your thoughts on the game and Arsenal in general. As usual, I've enjoyed you. So thank you so much for coming on. And I'm sure I will talk to you soon. Thank you, Aslan.
Thank you very much, Jess. Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. Big up everyone else that has come on and everyone in the chat. Thank you, Jess.
No problem. See you later. All right, you guys, last but not least, I just want to have one more conversation. You guys have already said your player of the season, Saka, far and beyond. I'm sure that's not shocking to me because he has been our best player. And that says a lot about where we are as a team and the fact that it took until like almost basically the last game of the season for him to get a rest, and he still had to come on, or he still did come on. So Saka to me, is a good shout. I would say Pepe towards the end, statistically, has probably been one of our best players, but there's not a lot to really choose from because nobody's really played that well. And some of the players that have played well for us didn't even start really playing until December. So I agree with Saka, but there's a comment here from, let's see, Calvin Crane says, Buendia makes sense, not sure on Basuma, which I find to be, so I understand why people are not as hot on Basuma as I am because of his profile, but I implore you to watch the game back and just watch Basuma. There's a lot that he does that we're unable to do in our midfield because, so Xhaka played really well today. So I'm not going to crap on him, but he limits us. He limits us because of his inability to be mobile in that midfield. I think a midfield pivot of Thomas Partey and Basuma gives us a little bit more athleticism, a little bit more running power. And Basuma is a shutdown central defensive midfielder. And that would allow Thomas to just be a true box to box. And what you guys kind of saw today of him getting closer in and being able to shoot from a lot closer, not as many of those long range shots. I'm telling you, some of those shots from Partey will go in, So for me, I think Basuma makes a lot of sense, but Buendia also makes sense. And I feel like we need multiple people to come in, not just Basuma, not just Buendia. So for me at this point, based on who we're kind of linked with and things like that, that would be a good two midfielders to bring in, Buendia and Basuma. But the guy was class today. Basuma was far beyond Brighton's best player. He's been their best player this entire season. Every time I watch him, I'm like, the guy is ready to make the next step in his career to play for a big club. He's done all the right things. He came from Lille, went to a lower level Premier League team. Without him, they probably would get relegated because he's just that good. The amount of attacks that he snuffs out, his ability to support the back line, but also be somebody that they can pass to and move the ball and progress the ball through is really, really good. And when he played at Lille, he also played more box to box. So if something were to happen to Thomas Partey, he were to get a long-term injury, we wouldn't be in a position where we're looking at Granit Xhaka like, can you do the job, when he clearly cannot. We could also play in a single pivot with Basuma and sit Partey down. The way that, if you've seen the way City has built their forward positions and their midfielder positions, they have a lot of plug and play that they can do. They can play with De Bruyne and Gundogan. They can play with Gundogan and Rodri. They can play with a single pivot in Fernandinho. Rodri can be a single pivot. So for me, it's not just about oh my God, Thomas and Basuma, they can do the same thing. Well, that's good. You need some overlap. You need some people that can do the same thing and also do something a little bit different. And I think Basuma adds that because Thomas is not a shutdown CDM. He can do it, but not at the elite level that I think Basuma can. And Basuma is also 24 years old. So he would fit right in that age range for me. So for me, I like Basuma. He's somebody I'd like us to bring in. I'd also like to see us bring in somebody like Buendia or Awa. Grealish, I think, is just too far off. And Odegaard, for me, as good of a player as he is, I wouldn't spend 50 million on him, but that's just about preference and profiles and things like that. We all think of things differently. Maybe, like Richard says, 40 million for Basuma is too much, so I can understand that as well. Exactly. So that's going to be it for today, you guys. I think that was a really, really good instant reaction. The season is over. So now we could just start kind of talking about our squad building and all that kind of stuff. So like I told you, on Monday, I'm going to be talking to, at 5:30 p.m. UK time, Scott from the Arsenal Vision podcast is going to be on with me talking about the numbers. So we'll go over the numbers for the season, talk about kind of tactics and the areas of the pitch that we don't really get into, how we can improve our numbers, attacking numbers in particular. And we'll also talk about some players that we've been linked with, and by their numbers and kind of those nice charts that Scott does, will they be able to help us access those critical areas of the pitch that we're lacking at the moment? And then at 8 p.m. UK time on Monday, I'll be back with the guys to finish our squad building pod. So lots and lots and lots and lots of content coming your way. I just want to thank you guys so much for all of your support, liking my videos, sharing, subscribing, all those good things. It's been amazing. I can't wait until next season. And you guys have been asking for watch-alongs, so get ready for that, because I've warned you, watch-alongs with Jess is not going to be what you guys probably think it's going to be. But hey, and we move. So I will see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.